Welcome to Honeybee. Don't forget to subscribe, and hit the bell. Real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. I could walk away from you right now. Those were the words my wife said to me at a party, standing in front of our friends. The room instantly fell quiet. Everyone expected me to brush it off the way I always did, maybe laugh or turn it into a joke. But instead, the two words I replied with shifted everything. My name is Alan, and that moment marked both the slow collapse of my marriage and the beginning of discovering just how far the betrayal truly went. I met Susan when I was 25. From the very night I got her number, we started talking, and the conversation flowed naturally. When she talked about the future, it sounded like we were imagining the same life. We dated for about a year and a half before getting married. Our wedding was small and simple, just family and close friends. The first few years were good. I won't pretend they were perfect because no marriage is, but they were solid. We both worked. I earned more than she did, but it never seemed to bother her. She had a stable job she appeared content with, and I was steadily moving up in my career. Most evenings we came home, cooked together, and talked about our plans. We spent a lot of time discussing the future. We both said we wanted kids, just not immediately. We agreed it made sense to wait until we were financially secure and had a strong foundation. At the time, that felt reasonable. But the conversation about children kept getting postponed. Every time I brought it up, Susan had another reason to wait. She wanted a promotion first. She wanted to focus on her career. We needed more savings. The timing wasn't right. There was always something. And because I believed we were a team, I agreed to keep waiting. I trusted her. I thought we wanted the same things, just at different speeds. Eventually, after years of delay, we agreed to start trying. I felt hopeful, like this step might bring us closer. I truly believed we were working towards starting a family. Months went by and nothing happened. At first, I tried not to stress. I knew it could take time. But 6 months passed, then a year, then more. I started to worry. I suggested we see a doctor, get checked, see if there was a medical issue. Maybe it was me, maybe it was her, but Susan always found a reason to avoid it. She said it was expensive. She said insurance wouldn't cover it. She said we should just wait longer, that we were still young. She told me she'd read articles saying some couples take years to conceive naturally. We just needed patience. I felt confused and disappointed. I couldn't understand why nothing was happening. Slowly, I started blaming myself. I wondered if something was wrong with my body, if I was failing at something fundamental. What struck me as strange was how unconcerned Susan seemed. She didn't appear worried at all. When I brought it up, she brushed it off and told me I was overthinking. I found that odd, but I convinced myself she was just calmer than I was. I had no idea what was really going on. Around our 5th year of marriage, things began to shift. At first, it was subtle. Our intimacy started to fade. What had once been regular became less frequent. Initially, I didn't dwell on it. Life gets busy. Work gets stressful. But eventually, less became rare. I would initiate, and Susan would always have a reason. She was tired. She was stressed about work. She wasn't feeling well. She just wasn't in the mood. I didn't want to pressure her or make her uncomfortable, so I backed off. I told myself it was just a phase. If I was patient and understanding, things would improve. They didn't. Months passed, then a year, then more. I began to feel rejected and unwanted. Lying in bed beside her felt like there was an invisible wall between us. I tried talking to her gently, careful not to sound accusing. She promised things would improve. She said she knew we needed to work on it. But nothing ever changed. The promises were hollow. I started questioning myself. Was it me? Had I done something wrong? Had I changed physically? Was I no longer attractive to her? Had she stopped loving me? The constant rejection eroded my confidence. I'd look in the mirror, wondering what was wrong with me. Still, I kept trying to be patient, kept hoping that if I gave her more space and understanding, things would get better. They never did. And as intimacy disappeared, everything else shifted too. Susan became dismissive of my opinions. If I shared my feelings, She acted like they didn't matter. Arguments became more frequent, and she stopped trying to resolve them. She'd either shut down completely or walk away mid-conversation. It felt like she couldn't be bothered anymore. If she didn't get her way, the atmosphere in the house turned cold. She subtly criticized my friends, found faults with my family, and made cutting remarks. I found myself constantly walking on eggshells, trying to predict her mood. I became the one who always apologized, even when I didn't know what I'd done wrong. It was draining. She seemed to resent my existence, and I had no idea why. Then came that Saturday night at a friend's house. It was one of those casual gatherings, wine, beer, couples chatting in the kitchen and living room. We'd been to countless ones like it. This one should have been no different. But it was a night everything changed. The conversation drifted to divorce after someone mentioned a mutual friend whose marriage had ended. People talked about how common it had become, how easy it seemed to walk away. Half distracted, I added my thoughts, saying something about how some people think the grass is greener, without realizing what they're giving up. I wasn't directing it at Susan. It was just a general comment. But she laughed and said, "I could leave you right now." She said it like a joke, daring me, expecting laughs. No one laughed. The silence was heavy. I felt humiliated. Instead of laughing it off like usual, I looked her straight in the eye and said, "Go ahead." Her expression changed instantly. Surprise. Shock. She hadn't expected that. Someone quickly changed the subject, but the damage was done. We left shortly after. The drive home was silent, and in that moment, I realized how tired I was. Tired of being disrespected. Tired of smoothing things over. Tired of trying alone. After that night, Susan barely spoke to me. Polite but cold, one-word answers. Avoidance. She wanted me to apologize like I always did. Normally I would have, but this time I didn't. I let the silence sit. Days turned into weeks. We lived like strangers. During that time, I finally saw the truth. One morning, lie in bed, I asked myself a simple question. Why am I staying? There was no intimacy, no respect, no partnership, no affection, no joy, no children, no friendship, just misery. Quietly, calmly, I understood there was no reason left to stay. That morning, I decided to divorce. I contacted a lawyer, learned my options, and filed. When I told Susan, she cycled through shock, anger, and denial. But my decision was final. The divorce became a battle. She contested everything. Despite being the primary earner, the law didn't care. Everything was split evenly. Months dragged on. Legal fees piled up. Then came the discovery that shattered everything. I learned Susan had been having a long-term affair with her boss. Years long. During the same years, our intimacy disappeared. And worse, she'd secretly stayed on birth control the entire time we were supposedly trying for a baby. The betrayal cut deep. I blamed myself for years, believing I was the problem. Learning the truth left me hollow. Even so, the settlement barely changed. The law didn't care about infidelity. She walked away with half. When the divorce was finalized 2 years later, I didn't feel relief, just exhaustion. The months after were quiet, painful, but slowly I rebuilt my life. I learned hard lessons. Trust your gut. Don't ignore red flags. Intimacy matters. Self-respect is non-negotiable, and actions matter more than words. Now, I'm learning to be alone. Not lonely, alone. I reclaim myself. I still believe in love, but I know my worth, and I'll never again ignore my instincts or sacrifice my dignity. I share this because if you're stuck in a marriage filled with rejection and disrespect, you don't have to stay. Sometimes choosing yourself is the bravest thing you can do. Life is too short to spend it unloved.